Meeting to order. Councilman Phillipsburg, can you please read the Open Public Meeting Act statement, please?
Yes, sir. This meeting is called pursuant to the provisions of the Open Public Meetings Law. This meeting of February 18, 2020 was included in a notice sent to the newspapers of record and posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building and has remained continuously posted as they require notices under the statute. In addition, a copy of this notice has been available to the public and is on file in the office of the municipal clerk.
Everybody rise for the invocation and flag.
Lord, please provide us with the strength to overcome our challenges, the ability to maintain a fair approach to all issues, and bless all of those in and outside of our community with good health and good fortune.
Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Vicky, roll call, please.
Council President Piazza.
Here.
Council Vice President McVeigh.
Here.
Councilwoman DeGirolamo.
Here.
Councilman Fulber.
Here.
Councilman White.
Here.
Okay, so the police department, we do not have an update yet until next month. First up for discussion, we have Mr. Prater from JCP&L for LED lighting project.
Yes,
Please step up. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing fine, thank you. Good evening, committee, council. I had a conversation about 2 weeks ago with Mayor Cassidy about installing LED street lighting in the town, and we had a general conversation about installing lights along Route 22 Memorial Parkway. One of there is some savings that can be had there, but more importantly, there's energy savings. And typically, when the lights go out there on Memorial Parkway, it's a little difficult. We have to do it at night. We have to have a patrolman to escort us. It's not the easiest place to change lights. So he was interested. So he said if he wanted me to come in, just kind of broach the subject with council. And what I did is I left you a packet of information. I'm not going to go over verbatim, but you can have this for your own information. It talks about what is LED lighting. And LED lighting has been around for a while. It is certainly evolving. We did a installation down in Lambertville on Bridge Street in the commercial area, and similar to Memorial Parkway, which is commercialized. On the second page here, it talks about the pros and cons of LED lighting. It's a more directional light versus a kind of a scattered or a non-directional light for a sodium vapor light. And that's the lights that you have out there now. Talks about better color rendering, better light distribution, and it improves the contrast and visibility for drivers. Then it talks about the LED photometric control based on spacing. And then you have quite a few poles on Memorial Boulevard. What I did is I did a little survey. I started at Roseberry, right by the Luke Oil gas station, and I went down to the right past. I did a jug handle there and came up by Warren Street and came back to Roseberry. So there's about 30 or some odd lights there, and most of those lights are 250 watt sodium vapor lights. There's some 400 watt sodium vapor lights in there. So for the town's sake, you know, you look at, there's an energy savings because the lights are going to last longer. Okay, we get that, I believe, with LED. But if you go to the very last page in this pamphlet here, it talks about a cost comparison. So I think that's kind of where the rubber meets the road. So if you have a 250 watt sodium light, if you go to that very last column, and you look at the 250 SLV, that's a sodium vapor light. It gives the wattage with the ballast at 293. The lumens output would be 19,250. Then it gives a monthly building KWH of 103. Company fixture rate at $7.05, and then it talks about the total kilowatt hours at 1139 for your approximate monthly bill of 1844. So that's approximately what you're paying for one light. So we would replace that with either a 260 LED or a 130. So if you go to a 260 LED, you're going to see you're going to get more lumen output. That's at 25,000 lumens. The billing KWH is 91, fixture charge at 1083, KWH charge 1006 for a total of 2089. So that would be an increase per light of 246 per light. So there would be an increase if we did a 1-for-1 on the 250 watt sodium versus the 260 watt LED. So but let's say we replaced that 250 with a 130. If you go up to the next section, you see the 130 LED is 130 watts on the ballast, 13,000 lumens, 46 kWh, fixture charge at $830.38 per month, kWh charge $509 for $13.47. So you would roughly save on that would be $4.97 if you went with a lower wattage. So let's go to another example. You've got a couple 400 watt sodium vapors out there. So the 400 watt sodium vapor, you're paying on a monthly charge $26.28. If we replace that with a 260 LED at $20.89, you're going to save $5.39. So there's some savings out there. The light pattern is again, is more directional. And I put something in there that talks about Kelvin rating. Kelvin rating it talks about the information about how light temperature is measured. And our Kelvin rating is anywhere between 3,000 and 5,000. So if you look at that chart that I gave you with the light bulb and the Kelvin rating, and you go to the 4,000K to the 4,500K, that kind of gives you that natural white, where it says C Smart LED look, where the high pressure sodium light is going to give you more of a little orange tint type of look, and so you have an idea what the color would be. And again, we wouldn't have to replace the lights as much, and again, it depends on the wattage that you have out there. You could see some savings, and it depends on what you would want to replace it with, if you wanted to go with LED. And if you wanted to look at it, I would recommend it. You go down to Lambert, go down to Bridge Street. You did all of that from Bridge Street down to the bridge. That's the commercial area.
Okay.
Yeah. So I wanted to leave you with that information. And if you're interested, the town would have to provide me with the lights that they want to replace. We can look at a cost savings and a comparison. I can go on GIS and look at what the wattage is out there versus what you want to replace it with. We do not give you any recommendations. You'd have to use your engineer, Stan Schreck, or either a lighting expert, to tell us what you want in terms of wattage. It's free. This program is free. On a wood pole, we'll place out a 1-for-1. But if you want to change the length of an arm from a 4-foot arm, 8-foot arm to a 12-foot arm, then we'd have to charge you the difference. The town would have to pay for the traffic control as well. But the installation on a wood pole, 1-for-1, there's no charge. But there is a 10-year agreement that you would have to sign into. Basically, that's when we get the cost back on the charge for installation. It's a 10-year agreement that these lights would have to be up for 10 years.
How about metal pole? Aluminum pole, is there any?
No, not in this program. We'll do it, but there would be a charge. I didn't see when I did my survey. I didn't see a lot of metal poles out there.
Okay.
And I did it twice. I see mostly wood poles out there.
Okay.
Yeah. So again, this is information you can look over. You can talk about. You can email me, ask me questions about it. But I just wanted to kind of give you a general overview. And then the contract information is in there. Again, I wasn't going to go over this verbatim, but you can read it at your leisure.
Appreciate it.
Any questions?
Yeah, Councilman Wyatt, anything?
First of all, you have, I think, 2, maybe 4 lights out on Memorial Parkway right now.
Yeah, they got to be reported, man. I mean, Terry, I'm sorry.
You only called me that 16 years.
Yeah, so if someone would report those, I did see a couple lights out, and again, we just don't survey and fix the lights. If you just report them and get them, we'll get orders.
Well, I just reported it, so
Yeah, I need a poll number or a location. Give me the nearest location of a store or something like that. Address to it.
Yeah, one's right in front of Ahart's. The old Ahart store. Yeah.
What's that?
The Ahart.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why would you go with less lumens to make it, I mean,
It's a different type of light, so.
I know it's different and it'll appear a lot different because it's directional
Yeah,
and it doesn't spread, but the lumens are so much less as well. So you're getting less light and also it's very directional, down, not out. So with these types of LED fixtures, you actually need more fixtures for the coverage that you get.
yeah, and I would say, I'm not the lighting expert, and again, I just gave you options, and so what I would recommend is that you go down and you look at Bridge Street, and then you get an engineer involved, a lighting engineer involved, because you're right, you could go with less lumens though, depending on, what is it that you're trying to light. So if you look at the arms on those lights that you have out there now, those are 12-foot arms that hang over Route 22, so that it's directionally down on the road. It's going to be better visibility for your drivers. The light is not scattered. It doesn't, blend into, blind other lights. Not that these lights do now, but again, what we're saying with the LED is going to be more energy efficient, and it's going to be a clearer light, a better light, a safer light. So that's something that the town would have to make a decision on. If you want to go with less lumens or higher lumens, because there's a cost difference.
Well, I mean, just for an instance, the LED, the 260 is 2,500,
25,000.
25,000 lumens, and the 400 high pressure sodium is 35,000,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you're really not getting, near the light that there's a big savings. There's a big savings there, but, the
Yeah,
sa-
and that's a decision that the town would have to make. So the 400 watt sodium vapor, the 260 watt LED is the highest, is the largest light in terms of lumens that we have in our stock. So we couldn't give you one for one. That's why this is a comparison. So
Right.
it's really not one for one.
If you go, even if you go right on up the line, the 130 watt LED opposed to the 250 watt high pressure sodium, 13,000 to 19,250. I just, the real savings is in the energy and not the real savings to the town of Phillipsburg.
Well, that's what I said, if you want to go with less lumens. So if you go with let's say, when I first started this conversation and I did my survey, most of those lights out there are 250 watt sodium vapor lights. So if you replaced it out with a 260 LED, it's going to cost you $2.46 a month more if you want to go on a one-for-one type of basis. And even then, you're going to get more lumens out of the 260 watt LED. It's 25,000 versus 19,250. So you get more light there. But again, the energy savings is going to be a big thing there. You're going to go up in cost, but you can go down in lumens if you so desire. I mean, that would be a decision by the town.
Right. But the big savings is for JCP&L, not the town of Phillipsburg.
Not necessarily. If you go with less lumens, you can go with less lumens and still have a nice light pattern.
Well-
So, I mean, I'm not here to make that decision. The big savings is not totally for us. I just gave you options. That's all I did. I'm not telling you what to do.
Appreciate it.
Good.
Good. Councilwoman DeGirolamo, any questions?
Do we have a current contract term?
No, you have a contract term, you have a company fixture rate, and there's no contract term on those existing lights right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you would do this work and you determine some of those poles might be in need of replacement, we would be responsible for that?
No, if we determine they need replacement, we replace them.
You mentioned Memorial Parkway only. What about downtown? downtown, it's very
I
hard.
only looked at Memorial Parkway, so the town, if you were interested, I suggest you survey the lights, give me the pole numbers. I would go into GIS, look at the light, look at the wattage, so you could tell me South Main Street. And then I'd go down and you'd have to give me those pole numbers, and I would look at those numbers and tell you what you have out there in your inventory, and then you guys can, determine if you want to change them out with the type of LED you want, or not.
Okay, thank you.
Councilman Fulton? Anything to add?
You said GIS, that's the ArcGIS software?
Yes.
No, I don't have anything at this time.
Yeah, I appreciate your time. I don't have anything to add. I'd like to go over this and see what we do in the future.
Okay.
I do appreciate your
Yeah.
addressing the council. Thank you very much. Next up for discussion, we have Mark Peck with Phillipsburg Solar. Urban Renewal.
Hi, good evening. Thank you, Council President Piazza, members of council. For the record, my name is Mark Peck. I'm an attorney with Victoria Cruz, Steinhardt, and Kelly Law Firm. Here on behalf of Phillipsburg Solar One Urban Renewal LLC. And thank you very much for making room on your agenda tonight for us. We're here seeking amendment to the Commerce Park redevelopment plan to permit ground-mounted solar in a portion of that redevelopment area. Just by way of very quick background, the redevelopment plan for that area, the former Ingersoll Ranch Tract, was first adopted in 2000. It's gone through many subsequent iterations. However, in its current form, it does not have ground-mounted solar facilities as a permitted use in the redevelopment area. However, the project that's currently underway on the site, Bridgepoint 78, is being constructed pursuant to a general development plan which was first adopted in August of 2015 and was revised in August of 2019. And that general development plan does note that, quote, a ground-mounted solar array area is contemplated on proposed lots 3 and 4 between buildings 1, 5, and 6 as noted on the GDP plans. And that solar array is in fact noted on the approved GDP plans. So pursuant to that general development plan, Phillipsburg Solar did prepare plans to develop the solar facility, but right before we were ready to file them, we noticed that there was this inconsistency between the redevelopment plan and the general development plan. So to clear up this inconsistency, we're asking the council to ask the planning board, the land use board, to prepare an amendment to the redevelopment plan to incorporate this ground-mounted solar as a permitted use. And to further expand on this request, I do have our engineer, Brett Skapanitz, who you may be familiar with from Dynamic Engineering, and he'll give a little more explanation. We also have Frank McClenahan of Phillipsburg Solar in case council or the public has any questions that Brett or I can answer.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good evening. Brett Skapanitz with Dynamic Engineering Consultants. Site engineer for Bridgepoint 78, taking it through the process. As more recently, a few months ago, actually, we're in for more recent change to phase 2 of the project. But in this case, we are talking about, as a result of that amendment, was changed to essentially free up an area where we're looking to put this solar field. And by way of just a few exhibits, shouldn't take too long a time. I just want to kind of go through the brief history, briefly through the history, and how we got here, and showing you where this solar array would be located. This is the first exhibit, which is essentially the original GDP plan that was done by CPL. That was approved, and it shows what the arrangement of buildings were at that time, but what I've highlighted in yellow and green is essentially the area where the solar field will be located. You'll note this area on this plan. It shows it's right on top of building number 2 as proposed in that original plan, and what was the original configuration of Rand Boulevard running right through that area. Now, be mindful that this area is actually the old landfill. Okay, so it was contemplated early on that they would be able to develop on top of that, but as we've gone through the process, that's where we made changes to the plan. And because development on top of that old landfill is not is not a very easily achievable thing. So, next exhibit. This is the previously approved, this is our layout of basically showing in the blue those older buildings on top of what is now our more current layout, which has buildings 6, 5, 3, essentially building 1 and 4, and then the building over there in Papcom. These were, again, as shown in the first exhibit, these were old buildings 6 and 2 in blue. And you can see the area in green outlined, same area, and now the solar field in the middle. Rand Boulevard, which is shown as part of the old plan in yellow here, that's been shifted over just to the outskirts of the landfill. So what that did is that created lots 3 and 4. And those now open lots 3 and 4, I've in this exhibit taken away and blown up the area in green, shown where the new Rand Boulevard is located. This area is now open, but it's open, it's the old landfill. So it's really not conducive to development per se. It has restrictions upon it. Testing and so forth that's been done there has sort of shown that it's best to be left as the open space, but not in the sense of open space. Through our calculations in the plans, we were designated to have a certain percentage of open space, and that doesn't change. This was never part of that calculation. The areas outside of there, particularly the area along the Walk Street and the areas to the south, beyond the basin, those are all the main conserved environmental or open space on the site. So this doesn't impact the open space calculation, and the proposal is to put the solar field on top of it, which really ends up being the highest and best use for a landfill.
Now, Brett, the redevelopment plan currently permits solar on top of rooftops.
It does.
Does this preclude that from happening, or?
Nope, as testified in the site plan approval, each one of the buildings that is proposed and being constructed out there is constructed such that from a structural standpoint, rooftop solar can be added to any one of those buildings, so that does not preclude that.
And actually, Brett, since we're getting in the round of testimony, we should probably just swear you in retroactively.
Sure.
All right. Do you swear that the testimony you either just gave or will give in the course of this hearing will be the truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Do we have any questions? Councilman Wynn?
No, I have no questions.
Councilwoman DeGirolamo?
I read in here that one of the requirements, if we're on to that piece, is they're going to put the poles above ground.
That's
separate.
Next.
Is that separate?
That's separate.
Next.
Never mind then.
So,
Actually, it is. Regarding putting on the landfill, so there was no intention to build anything on there?
No.
I think my questions are going to come next. I'm good.
Councilman Fulton?
No, sir.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
So you're looking to amend the redevelopment plan by our land use board?
Yeah, we're asking for council to make a formal request that the land use board prepare an amendment to the redevelopment plan to permit this use.
Yeah, motion to ask the planning board to prepare an amendment to the redevelopment plan
in order to permit ground-mounted solar.
in order to,
I just have one question for Brett. I'm going to get into this later, because we'll be submitting for site plan, but you are over the existing landfill, and these solar mounts are usually pile-driven. Is there any issue disturbing that cap?
No, these will not be pile driven. So essentially, these are going to have an aluminum frame which should be weighted down. So they're basically a ballast.
Precast one.
Right, ballasted mounting, right. So nothing will be driven into the cap.
Motion to ask the planning board to prepare an amendment to the redevelopment plan for the use of ground-mounted solar.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilman White?
Yes.
Councilwoman DeGirolamo?
Yes.
Councilman Fulker?
Yes.
Council Vice President McVeigh?
Yes.
Council President Piazza?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Vic, you'll transmit that over to the planning board.
Thank you. Next up for discussion is bridge development. We have Brett Scapinitz. Right? Sorry. From Dynamic and Devin Schmidt from Bridge Management.
Yeah, hi.
Susan Rubright, you just met.
My name is Susan Rubright. I'm an attorney with Brock Eichler in Roseland, and I am here on behalf of I-78 Logistics Park, Phillipsburg Urban Renewal LLC, currently constructing I-78 Logistics Park. We are seeking to amend the general development plan approved by the Township of Phillipsburg Planning Board under resolution of case 15004 dated November 23, 2015, and amended as Mr. Scapinitz alluded to or Mr. Peck did in 2019. And the purpose of the reason why we're here tonight is to seek an amendment to the GDP to permit 32 JCP&L poles to be located above ground along Rand Boulevard and Addison Place. There will also be approximately 10 poles in Lapacom, and that accounts for the initial description in the letter that I had sent to the municipal clerk that nearly 40 poles. I wasn't aware that there would be some in Lapacom as well. And the reason that we need the amendment is that the original GDP showed all utility lines to be installed underground. I would note that all services from the proposed pole line to the buildings will remain underground. The current development plan also includes removing approximately 60 existing poles on the site. So as a brief reminder and as information for any of the new members, the GDP was amended in November of 2019, as Mr. Scapinitz alluded to refigure the project layout to relocate the connector road. And as a result of that shift, there was also a modification to the lot areas and the building footprints. And Rand Boulevard, as I indicated, was relocated slightly. The property is located in the PCPRA zone, which is a redevelopment zone, and is governed by the revised Phillipsburg Commerce Park redevelopment plan that was adopted by this town council in 2013 and was last amended in April of 2015. It's also governed by the GDP. And the reason that we're here, one of the reasons why we need to appear before both the town council and the planning board, is that the redevelopment plan and the GDP plan are interrelated. Under the procedural requirements that are set forth in Section 5 of the redevelopment plan, any development of land in the redevelopment area shall be in accordance with the GDP. Accordingly, we're here before you to have you review and hopefully approve the amended GDP that Mr. Scapinitz will review with you, showing the utility poles above ground along Grand Boulevard and Addison Place. We have applications ready to file with the planning board to amend the GDP and to amend the site plan. But again, it has to be approved initially by the town council. We would submit that the approval of the amended GDP is supported by a number of factors, and Mr. Scapinitz will go through those in more detail. I also have Devin Schmidt, who's from Bridge Development Partners, one of the representatives of the applicant. I would just note that part of our argument in support of the amended GDP is that the vast majority of the utilities on this 279-acre parcel are underground. The change in our opinion, will not substantially impair the intent of the redevelopment plan. It will not present a substantial detriment to the public health, safety, and welfare, and it relates to the design standards. It's not substantive and does not involve any use that is not permitted by the redevelopment plan. And those are some of the factors that are set forth in the redevelopment plan. For the same reasons, allowing the above-ground poles is consistent with the purposes of the redevelopment plan. JCP&L is, it's interesting that he's here this evening, is an above-ground company, and I put that in quotes because that's what we've been advised by JCP&L. They apparently prefer above-ground lines for the safety of maintenance crews. And the wires in the underground vaults would present possible confined space conditions during maintenance. The new substation near Building 5 will have possible connections to other circuits in their network as well, which will increase the capacity to enhance reliability. Finally, as noted, the current development includes removing approximately 60 existing poles on the site. So what I'd like to do, I know that you have in front of you, I pulled a plan showing the above-ground poles, but I would like Mr. Scott to go over that with you as well.
Yeah.
Hello again, everybody.
I guess we might as well swear them down. I'll let counsel go.
Please raise your hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Please state your full name for the record, please.
Brett Skapanetz, last name S-K-A-P-I-N-E-T-Z with Dynamic Engineering Consultants.
So Brett, I'm not going to interfere, just you can explain the plan, why are we doing what we're doing, show, and I believe you have an exhibit where you've got some of the, see some things marked in red, so you can explain where those poles are going to be.
Right, I prepared this exhibit. It's we call it a conceptual electrical distribution plan. It's a one-sheet plan, and I wanted just so you could visualize what was described by Susan, which is basically that we have a line in red that runs along Rand Boulevard from 22, running through the site, and then turning to the south along Addison and heading towards building number 6. On the Lopatcong Phillipsburg line is where my hand is. Above that, there's 10 poles within Lopatcong, and below that line running down is 32 poles along the red line that ends just at the southwest corner of building number 6. That we would which is what our request is, to allow those to be above ground. I then show in orange, might be a little bit harder to see, but in orange, running to each one of the buildings, the respective services going to each one of those buildings is going to be underground. So with the exception of that line in red, all other utilities will be beneath the surface. So that would be your electric, your gas, water, obviously sewer, storm sewers, are all beneath. So.
That's the